What if I told you that you could retire in your 30s or 40s instead of working until you're 65 without winning the lottery or inheriting a fortune? Sounds impossible, right? But thousands of people are doing exactly that right now, and they're using a simple investment strategy that anyone can follow. Welcome to the world of FIRE, financial independence, retire early, where ordinary people are building extraordinary futures using ETFs. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how much you need to save, which ETFs to buy, and the exact timeline to escape the 9-to-5 grind forever. Let me start with a story that'll blow your mind. Raj was a 35-year-old lawyer pulling in a six-figure salary, but he was miserable. Long hours, endless stress, and a job that drained his soul. 5 years later, at 40, he walked away from it all. Not to live in poverty, but to pursue his passion for writing full-time. How? He built a portfolio worth $1.2 million using ETFs and the FIRE strategy. Today, his investments generate enough passive income to cover all his expenses while he does what he loves. And here's the kicker: you don't need to be a lawyer or earn six figures to do the same thing. The FIRE formula, your blueprint to freedom. The FIRE movement is built on one simple principle: save aggressively, invest wisely, and let compound growth do the heavy lifting. But here's what makes it different from traditional retirement planning. Instead of waiting until you're 65, you're targeting financial independence decades earlier. The magic happens when you combine high savings rates with the power of ETF investing. So what exactly do you need? Enter the FIRE number, the total amount of money you need invested to retire. The calculation is brutally simple. Multiply your annual expenses by 25. That's it. If you spend $40,000 per year, you need $1 million. If you spend $80,000 per year, you need $2 million. This formula is based on the famous 4% rule, which states that you can safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio each year without running out of money for at least 30 years. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all FIRE journeys look the same. You've got choices, and those choices dramatically impact how much you need and how fast you can get there. Lean FIRE versus fat FIRE. Choose your path. Think of FIRE as a spectrum. On one end, you have lean FIRE, the minimalist approach where you retire with $500,000 to $750,000 and live on $20,000 to $40,000 per year. It's frugal, yes, but for people who value simplicity and freedom over material excess, it's paradise. You're cutting unnecessary expenses, embracing minimalism, and potentially retiring in your early 30s. On the other end sits fat FIRE, retiring with $3 million to $5 million and maintaining a lifestyle with $100,000 to $200,000 in annual expenses. You're not giving up the nice car, the vacations, or the comfortable home. You're just working strategically to build a bigger nest egg that supports a more luxurious retirement. The trade-off? You might need to work until your mid-40s instead of your early 30s. Most people actually fall somewhere in the middle, regular FIRE, spending around $50,000 to $80,000 annually and needing roughly $1.25 million to $2 million saved. The key is being honest with yourself about what lifestyle will actually make you happy. There's no point retiring early if you're going to be miserable counting every penny, and there's no point working an extra decade if you don't actually need all that extra money. The savings rate secret, your timeline to freedom. Now let's talk about the single most powerful lever you control, your savings rate. This is where dreams either become reality or stay fantasies. If you save 10% of your income, you're looking at working for over 50 years before you can retire. But bump that up to 50%, and suddenly you're retiring in just 17 years. Save 60%, you're done in about 12 years. Save 70%, less than 9 years. Let's make this concrete with a real example. Meet Sarah. She's 28 years old, earns $80,000 after taxes, and spends $40,000 per year. That's a 50% savings rate. She's saving $40,000 annually and needs $1 million to retire based on the 4% rule, 25 times her $40,000 annual expenses. Assuming her ETF portfolio grows at 7% annually after inflation, she'll hit her FIRE number by age 45. That's just 17 years of work instead of 37. But here's where it gets exciting. If Sarah can push her savings rate to 60% by cutting her expenses to $32,000 and saving $48,000 annually, she shaves 3 years off her timeline. That's 3 extra years of freedom. This is why FIRE followers obsess over savings rates. Small increases create massive results. The brutal truth? Your income matters far less than your savings rate. Someone earning $60,000 and saving 60% will retire faster than someone earning $150,000 but only saving 20%. It's not about how much you make, it's about the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Building your FIRE portfolio with ETFs. Here's where the magic happens. ETFs, exchange-traded funds, are the perfect vehicle for FIRE because they're diversified, low-cost, and simple. You're not picking individual stocks or trying to time the market. You're buying entire markets with a single purchase and letting time and compound growth build your wealth. The classic FIRE portfolio is the 3-fund portfolio, and it's exactly what it sounds like. 3 ETFs that give you complete global diversification. Here's the breakdown. First, 40% in VTI, the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. This single ETF gives you ownership in over 3,500 U.S. companies. You're invested in everything from Apple to small startups, capturing the entire U.S. market's growth. The expense ratio? Just 0.03%, meaning you keep more of your returns. Second, 30% in VXUS, the Vanguard Total International Stock ETF. This covers over 7,000 companies outside the United States, from Europe to Asia to emerging markets. You're not betting on just one country's economy, you're capturing global growth. Third, 30% in BND, the Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF. Bonds provide stability and cushion against market crashes. When stocks tank, bonds tend to hold steady or even increase in value. This balance is crucial for the 4% rule to work over 30-plus years. That's it. 3 ETFs, complete diversification, total annual costs under 0.1%. You can set this up in under an hour and automate your contributions. No stock picking, no market timing, no complexity. But maybe you want even more simplicity. Enter VT, the Vanguard Total World Stock ETF. This single fund owns over 9,000 stocks across the entire planet. If you're young and aggressive, you could start with 100% VT and gradually add bonds as you approach your FIRE date. It's the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it approach. For those seeking higher income during retirement, there's the dividend-focused portfolio. 50% VYM, Vanguard High Dividend Yield ETF, 30% SCHD, Schwab US, Dividend Equity ETF, and 20% HDV, iShares Core High Dividend ETF. These funds focus on companies that pay substantial dividends, generating cash flow you can live on without selling shares. The yield on these portfolios often exceeds 3 to 4% annually, providing passive income that grows over time. The research on portfolio allocation is clear. For the 4% rule to work, you need 50 to 75% in stocks and the rest in bonds or other stable assets. Bill Bengen, who created the 4% rule, found that portfolios in this range weathered every market condition over the past century, including the Great Depression and the 2008 financial crisis. Going 100% stocks increases your risk of running out of money during a market crash early in retirement. Going too heavy in bonds means your portfolio won't grow enough to sustain withdrawals for 30-plus years. Milestone tracking. Celebrating your journey. The path to FIRE takes years, and without milestones, it's easy to lose motivation. Let me give you a roadmap with specific checkpoints to celebrate. Milestone 1. Positive net worth. This is day 1, when your assets exceed your debts. For many people crushed by student loans or credit card debt, reaching zero is a massive psychological win. Milestone 2. $10,000 saved. Your first 5-figure milestone proves you can do this. At a 50% savings rate on a $50,000 income, this takes less than a year. You're building the foundation. Milestone 3. 1 year of expenses covered. This is your freedom fund. If you lost your job tomorrow, you could survive for 12 months without panic. the stress relief is immeasurable. Milestone 4. $100,000 invested. Charlie Munger called this, the first $100,000 is the hardest. Why? Because compound growth hasn't kicked in yet. At 7% annual returns, your first $100,000 will generate $7,000 per year without you lifting a finger. Every dollar you add from here grows faster. Milestone 5. Coast Fire. This is when your current investments will grow to your FIRE number by traditional retirement age without adding another dollar. If you're 30 with $250,000 invested and need $1.5 million by 60, you've hit Coast Fire. You can stop saving for retirement and just cover your living expenses. The psychological freedom is incredible. Milestone 6. Half FI. You're halfway to your FIRE number. The finish line is visible. If you need $1 million, you've hit $500,000. Momentum is building. Milestone 7. Lean FIRE. You have enough to cover basic expenses. It might not be luxurious, but you could survive indefinitely if you had to. This is your safety net. Milestone 8. Full FIRE. You did it. Your portfolio generates enough income to cover your desired lifestyle indefinitely. You're financially independent. Real-world case study, from broke to free. Let's talk about Martha, a 32-year-old teacher earning $55,000 per year. She was introduced to FIRE by a colleague and decided to go all in. She cut her expenses ruthlessly, sold her car and used public transport, cooked at home instead of eating out, and started a side hustle tutoring students. Her expenses dropped to $25,000 per year, giving her a 55% savings rate after taxes. Martha invested her $30,000 in annual savings into a simple 3-fund portfolio: 50% VTI, 30% VXUS, and 20% BND. Over 13 years, her investments grew to $650,000. At age 45, she reached her FIRE number of $625,000, 25 times her $25,000 annual expenses. She didn't quit teaching entirely. She loved her work, but she went part-time, enjoying flexibility and freedom that most people never experience. Or consider Tom and Anna, a married couple with 2 kids. Tom was a software engineer earning $120,000. Anna worked in marketing making $70,000. They kept their combined expenses at $75,000 per year despite their $190,000 household income, achieving a 60% savings rate. They invested $115,000 annually into VTI and BND, building a portfolio worth $2.2 million in just 15 years. At ages 42 and 40, they reached Fat FIRE, maintaining their comfortable lifestyle while both transitioning to passion projects and spending more time with their children. These aren't lottery winners or trust fund kids. They're ordinary people who made intentional choices about spending and investing. Tax-efficient withdrawal strategy. Here's what nobody tells you about retirement. How you withdraw money is just as important as how you save it. The conventional strategy is simple. Withdraw from taxable accounts first, then tax-deferred accounts like traditional IRAs and 401s, Ks, and finally tax-free Roth accounts last. Why this order? Taxable accounts have already been taxed, and withdrawals typically trigger lower capital gains tax rates. By emptying these first, you keep your taxable income lower. Your tax-deferred and Roth accounts continue growing tax-free for longer. When you do tap into tax-deferred accounts, you'll likely be in a lower tax bracket than during your working years, paying less tax overall. And your Roth accounts, those grow and withdraw completely tax-free, giving you maximum flexibility in your later retirement years. A more advanced strategy is bracket topping, taking tax advantage withdrawals up to the top of your current tax bracket without exceeding it. If you're in the 12% federal tax bracket, you withdraw enough from your traditional IRA to fill that bracket completely, then supplement with Roth withdrawals if needed. This maximizes tax efficiency year after year. Common mistakes that destroy FIRE dreams. Let's talk about the landmines that blow up FIRE plans. Mistake number 1, underestimating future expenses. Life changes. You get married, have kids, develop health issues, or your interests evolve. The $30,000 per year that feels sufficient at 28 might feel restrictive at 45. Build in a 20 to 30% buffer. Mistake number 2, Ignoring healthcare costs. If you're retiring before 65, you're not eligible for Medicare. Private insurance can cost $500 to $1,500 per month per person. That's $6,000 to $18,000 annually you must account for. Many fire plans fail because they forget this massive expense. Mistake number 3, overestimating investment returns. Using 10% annual returns in your calculations instead of the more realistic 7% after inflation can add years to your fire timeline or leave you short. Be conservative. Mistake number 4, not planning for purpose. Retiring early sounds amazing until you realize you're bored, lonely, and aimless. Work provides structure, social connection, and identity. Before you retire, have a clear vision of what you're retiring to, not just what you're retiring from. Hobbies, volunteering, part-time passion work, figure this out before you quit. Mistake number 5, failing to communicate with your partner. If you're married, both people must be completely on board. One person grinding toward fire while the other resents the frugality is a recipe for divorce, not early retirement. Your action plan, the next 30 days. All right, we've covered the theory. Now let's make this real. Here's exactly what to do in the next month. Week 1. Calculate your fire number. Track every expense for the next 30 days. Every coffee, every subscription, every purchase. Be brutally honest. Multiply your annual expenses by 25. That's your target. Week 2. Calculate your current savings rate. Take your after-tax income, subtract your expenses, divide by your income. If you're below 30%, identify 3 expenses you can cut immediately. Week 3. Open a brokerage account if you don't have one already. Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all offer excellent low-cost options. Set up automatic monthly investments into your chosen ETFs. Start with the 3-fund portfolio if you're unsure. Week 4. Create your milestone roadmap. Write down your specific checkpoints from positive net worth to full fire. Put dates next to each one based on your savings rate and timeline. Make it visual. Print it out, put it on your wall, and update it quarterly. The freedom waiting for you. Here's what this all comes down to. Every dollar you don't spend today is a soldier fighting for your future freedom. Every automated investment is a brick in the foundation of the life you actually want to live. The FIRE strategy using ETFs isn't complicated. Save aggressively, invest in diversified low-cost index funds, let compound growth work its magic, and give yourself the gift of time. Whether you're aiming for lean FIRE and escaping in your early 30s or targeting fat FIRE with a more comfortable 40s retirement, the principles remain the same. High savings rates, smart ETF investing, and unwavering discipline over years, not decades, of focused effort. Think about where you'll be in 15 years if you start today. While your friends are still trapped in cubicles counting down to a retirement at 65, you could be sipping coffee on a Tuesday morning, working on passion projects, traveling, or simply enjoying the profound luxury of owning your time. That's not a fantasy. That's the reality thousands of people have created using the exact strategies we covered today. The question isn't whether FIRE works, it does. The question is, are you willing to make different choices than everyone around you to create a different result? Are you ready to trade a few years of aggressive saving for decades of freedom? The math works. The strategy works. The only variable is you. Start today, calculate your number, open that brokerage account, buy your first ETF. Your future self will thank you.